Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we're going to be doing a bit of a 9.1 feature roundup in a way. Each of these items we're going to go over kind of deserves its own video, but I did want to get it done this week, and this is the only way it's going to get done is if I do all three of these together, the three that interest me most. Those three items are going to be the upgradable gems, the Shards of Domination, that drop in Raid and are for Raid gear, the Mythic Plus score being added to the game, and the Torghast revamps that are coming in 9.1. So those are going to be the topics in that order. Let's go ahead and start with the upgradable gems. So these gems are called Shards of Domination, and they drop in the Raid, and you will be able to socket them into predetermined gear that also drops with these special sockets in them. I know like one of them is called like a cogwheel socket, and then you put this Shard of Domination in, which also drops in the Raid, and you get this special effect. So gear with effects on it, people typically like that. I guess no, Mists of Pandaria is the only expansion I didn't play during, and I guess they had Shaw Touch gems in Mists of Pandaria that were somewhat similar. That's what somebody says. I don't know if that's true or not because I didn't raid in Mists of Pandaria, but so it's basically it's a feature though that as the raid tier goes on, it gets stronger, and thus the raid becomes easier, thus not needing probably as big of nerfs to the raid, if any. I'm sure there'll be some nerfs to the raid, but not as big a nerfs because you're kind of getting stronger by killing bosses and upgrading your Shards of Domination. Obviously, you'll want to find out which one's best for you. Get that one. Try to get that one when it drops and put that into a piece of gear that you hopefully get with the socket and power that up. So the beginning effect, like I said, it's pretty cool, but by the end of it, so you kill enough bosses, you power up your Shard of Domination. By the end of it, it'll be quite strong and have even like it just expands on the effects, and it's almost like a legendary power, honestly. As far as throughput goes, I'm not sure if the throughput will match like a legendary, but it is pretty cool effects actually. So I'm really hyped about the system. Now there's going to be one major issue I see possibly for the system, and I'll tell you what my opinion on it should be. But it's going to be, since this is raid gear only and raid drop only, should these work outside of the raid? That's going to be the debate. And it's going to be a bit of a no lose situation for Blizzard because there's going to be people on all sides of this, casual and high end players on all sides of this, saying it should only be a raid thing. There's going to be raiders who say I earned this in the raid by doing really hard content, and I should be able to use it wherever I want, like corruption, right? But corruption didn't only drop from the raid, which is also true. So you're going to have people on both sides of it. You're going to have casual people saying, well, it's not fair. I don't raid. I don't have access to this item. And then you're going to have casual people who say, you know what, they raid, they deserve it. And so there's going to be all kinds of people on all sides of this argument. I tend to side with the just let it happen everywhere and maybe disable it in rated PvP, right? I think that's kind of like the safe way to do it. That way people aren't using it for PvP stuff specifically. So it is now the issue becomes for Mythic Plus players that a lot of this stuff will become best in slot for Mythic Plus as well. Now, while there is a huge crossover between Mythic Plus and raiding, some of them wish there wasn't. So this is a detriment to them if that is the case, which I understand. I would say, yeah. I mean, that Mythic Plus is definitely the lowest on the totem pole right now to Blizzard. But we'll talk about the Mythic Plus score being added to the game because that might change some things going forward. But yeah, my overall opinion is to let it be used everywhere because that's typically what they've done in most cases throughout the history of the game. If you earn a piece of gear, you get to wear that piece of gear. They have tons of precedent of disabling things for PvP, so I think that's fine. If you disable it for rated PvP, that way PvP players are still using PvP gear, which is another feature that I'm not even going to talk about in this video of changing of the eye level of PvP gear. So I think that's the overall best solution. The people who will be the most angry are Mythic Plus players, like really hardcore Mythic Plus players that feel like they need to go farm these items in the raid. And the people most happy will be the high-end raiders who are maybe a little bit full of themselves a bit. And we all know those exist, and that's fine. So let's go ahead and talk about the Mythic Plus score being added to the game. So if you don't know what Raider IO is, first of all, you are probably fairly casual player, and there's nothing wrong with that. But basically, if you do any sort of high-end stuff, you have to do Mythic Plus dungeons, and to get into high Mythic Plus dungeons, you have to have Raider IO. At least a good score. You don't technically have to have it installed, I suppose, but you have to have a good score yourself. even if you don't know your score. And there are ways to block your score now too. But if you block your score, people aren't going to invite you to the group. So if you watch my channel, you'll know I've done multiple videos about how much I hate Raider IO, and overall I stand by that. However, it being added to the game is a step in the right direction. Because here's the thing: unless they just banned Raider IO from the game, which would cause a ton of anger among the player base if they did that. This is just the way it is. It's similar to gear score. All these things have been added throughout, and then like they get implemented into the game. So now we have eye level. Mythic Plus score will now be in the game. They're basically going to do it similar way. The score a similar way, but they do have opportunities to change it a little bit. They could help casual players out a little bit. I think the number one thing that's going to help casual players is this isn't an add-on they have to go get. If you don't know Raider IO right now, you have to have a desktop app that runs and updates your score, and then that updates your app, and then you have the installation app. And it's, for a casual player, that can be a bit overwhelming. But now the score will just be in the game, and they can just clearly see, okay, you know what? And come to think of it, I've never done a Spire's Ascension over +5. I'm going to go do one. And then their score is going to shoot up a little bit. And then maybe that'll intrigue them to shoot up their score more. And so overall, I think it's a really good change. What is most intriguing to the actual Mythic Plus players who are actually, because I'm looking at that from the casual player side, but what's intriguing to the Mythic Plus players side of this is that this allows possibilities. They already have Keystone Master and like the mount you get from that, but now this opens opportunity of having like achievements in game for it, for score achievements, and then like rating, and that obviously a score is a rating, but like rating that unlocks things as well. So kind of like PvP. I believe they'll set it up like a PvP ladder where highest ranking gets a special mount. Maybe if you get the highest score of the season, you will get a special item or something like that. Or maybe if you have the highest score on your server, all kinds of things like that open up to possibilities. So that could be really exciting for Mythic Plus players who have really high scores. So the high end has something to shoot for. The low end might be able to be, eased into a Mythic Plus experience and gain score and think that's cool if they like that gameplay. And so overall, I think this is a great thing. So we have two great things, and the third one might not be great, but it is good. The last thing we're going to talk about is the Torghast revamps. So the first thing is, as of right now, it is not expected that you need Soul Ash to upgrade past the highest level of Legendary. You will still need Soul Ash to upgrade to the current level. So I assume, I don't know this for sure, I assume though, you could technically skip Soul Ash altogether. So let's say you're a new player or you're on an alt. I imagine you could just go to 5 or 6 by using the new currency without Soul Ash. That might not be true though. You might always have to have the base Soul Ash to create the level 1. So that'd be interesting to know. But so there's still going to be Soul Ash, but it's not going to be needed for the new Legendary. Now that's not an actual revamp, but there are more floors added, so there is more Soul Ash available to get by doing Torghast. So when you don't need it anymore, essentially, I mean, you'll be able to craft all your legendaries really quick up to a certain level, I suppose, which is kind of good because you'll be able to get the slash faster. It'll be better for your alts. But there are more floors to it. Hopefully they're adding more than just floors. It's actually not in the PTR yet, Torghast. So hopefully they're adding more to it as well. Maybe more anima powers, maybe more whatever they have to add to it would be nice. Now that's just kind of like the very basic stuff that's not exciting at all. The next two things are at least a little bit exciting. So they're also adding a Torghast score. So this was actually added, I think, to Warcraft logs. Your Torghast runs could be loaded up, and you could kind of compete that way through it. I think it was Warcraft logs. I don't think it was Raider IO. But it's either way. It was a third-party system, allowing you to kind of have a score. Well, Blizzard's like, well, we're doing the Mythic Plus score. We're just going to do Torghast score as well. So you will have an incentive of some sort to do Torghast. You could be like, hey, I'm the best Torghast player in the world, right? And maybe that sounds silly to you, but I guarantee someone's going to take that personally and try to do that. And in fact, more than one person will try to do that. And so you're going to have competing scores. You could just compete within your own guild or group of friends on your Torghast score. And so that's kind of cool. It gives you some sort of incentive. Now, obviously, you'd want rewards from that too. We talked about the Mythic Plus score reward possibility. You would want some Torghast score things, even if it's like end of season. You could have a Torghast season, right? This could be very important going forward. So, like Island Expeditions, maybe they could have did something with Island Expeditions as far as timing them or amount of Azerite acquired in a certain amount of time or something, and gave score that way. But anyways, to have like an end of season, if they're because they're kind of doing everything seasonal. Raids have always been a seasonal thing, basically per patch. PvP has always been seasonal. Mythic Plus is now seasonal, and now if their new system that they put in is also seasonal, that's interesting, especially if they give rewards for it. So a lot of opportunities with score being added to Torghast. But however, the most exciting thing for me with this Torghast revamp is there's a string suggesting that there is XP available in Torghast now, meaning that you should, in theory, be able to level, do your maw opener, and then just jump in the Torghast and level up that way. If that is true, that is insanely fun. Imagine leveling up with cool anima powers. That is really cool. And just doing Torghast runs and leveling up. I don't know exactly how it would work because it would have to almost I don't know how it would work. It almost have to be a queue, almost like Islands, right? You can't do like a high layer on a leveling character because it doesn't, at least as of now, it doesn't scale with your item level. It just is what it is. So maybe they just added something that scales with your level. So it's tuned to a level 51, and so when you queue, you just go in there and fight stuff that's level 51, and you deal with it with cool anima powers. Either way, it's really cool, and frankly, I have to imagine I will be leveling. I was having fun leveling in dungeons, and I even was going to post videos about that, and I did at least one so far. But I might just switch to leveling in Torghast because it sounds really cool to me. And Torghast itself isn't the issue. A lot of people have pointed this out. Torghast itself is good gameplay. It's better than Islands. It's better than Scenarios. It's better than a lot of the solo, or not solo necessarily, but like the side systems, the side content. It's better than Warfronts. It's better than all kinds of things that they put in the game. So, it's not better than the Mage Tower, but that was like a big thing, like a big one-off. But it's a really good thing in the game. It's just the problem with it is that there's no rewards, and you feel like you have to do it. It's a chore, and it becomes too easy once you overgear it. That's the issue with Torghast. It's actually quite fun, so leveling in it will be quite good, I imagine. So those are the three things I'm most excited about. There's other stuff as well. There's the actual stuff in the actual content, like the raid and the new dungeon and all kinds of stuff like that. But these 9.1 is looking to be quite a big patch, a mega dungeon, a new raid, a new zone, revamp of the mall bit with the assaults. This new kind of system, upgradable gems, Mythic Plus score being added, Torghast revamps to make it better. No matter what's going to be better, because just the XP portion will make it better. PvP, item level changing to make PvP gear even more PvP centric. All these changes are really good, and this is going to be a really big, really good patch. So, very excited about it. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.